Patrick Cook here. So welcome to session number 3 of tutorial series number 3. All right. In the last session, session number 2, we were talking about the Mandelbulb Big Render tool, and I had gone over why we might want that tool, and basically we're gonna ask Mandelbulb to take a large graphic and cut it up into squares, tiles, okay, and so then we can then merge those tiles back together again, so that we get this big rendering. Okay, I like to refer to it as epic rendering, and I say epic because there really is no limitation when you utilize the tiling capabilities of the Mandelbulb application. All right. Now we're going to go into this. We're going to do a deep dive in this this tiling capability. But before we do that, let's see if we can kind of get our heads wrapped around why we would even want a huge picture like this, okay? Why can't we just be happy with 9,000 by 6,000 like I have here on the screen here, which is going to get me a fine print at 300 dots per inch. I mean, it's going to get me 30 by 20. That's not bad. That's a lot of wall space, all right? In my mind, the high resolution or the big render has far better cases than a large physical print. All right. There really is, in my mind, there's 3 primary reasons why I would want a large high-resolution graphic, all right? Certainly one is because I want, for whatever reason, to fill up my empty wall space with a big, giant printout. I may be so happy with the Mandelbulb graphic that I want that on my wall. All right, that's okay. In order to get there, we need to be able to give the printer an electronic image file that has enough resolution where they can print at that big size. All right. So use number 1 for the big render would be a large physical print. Okay. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that in this course. I'm going to help you understand what you need to do to prepare an electronic file for your best possible quality when you ship it off to a print vendor and get back something you'll be very happy with. So we're going to talk about that in this tutorial series. Now, the other reason for a large print would primarily be to ensure that you get the highest possible quality in your image. All right. Again, we're going to talk about that use case in this course, but let me just leave it at this. The more pixels that you have to work with, all right, in your image, the better. Up to a point. If you said, oh look, I'm going to create an image that's 100,000 pixels wide, 100,000 pixels wide by, I don't know, 60,000 pixels high. All right, great. Now that's high resolution. Boy, that is high resolution. The issue is that when you go to consume that 100,000 by 60,000, just as an example, all right? You put it up on a monitor, the monitor downscales it, or the electronics of the monitor downscales it so it can fit onto the LCD screen. Certainly you send 100,000 pixels out to a print vendor, they're going to downscale it, all right? Even if you were to put 100,000 pixels into a true 4K monitor, it will downscale it. 100,000 pixels will still be downscaled if you threw it into an 8K monitor, if you could afford such a beast. All right? Now, just because you have a lot of pixels doesn't mean that when you go to use those pixels onto a display device, that those pixels are all going to be utilized. However, it is better to downscale an image than to upscale it. All right? Always better to downscale it, because when you downscale, you're throwing pixels away. Let's get our little board up here again. Let's see. Get my stylus here. Let's see here. Let's see. All right. Look, let's do it this way. Let me get a different color pen here. Here we go. So if you have a situation where you have 100,000 pixels going across this way, all right, and you want to downscale it, you're throwing pixels away. You're throwing pixels away. You might have a series of pixels. These pixels are thrown away to downscale it. All right. Now, if you have 1,000 pixels and you want to and you need more pixels, so then you upscale it. And when you upscale it, now you have other people's software that's trying to put pixels in there, and it's called interpolation, and it may or may not do a very good job, all right? But you're basically, when you're upscaling, you're allowing other software or other people to add pixels to your image. You don't want to do that. If you have to downscale, well, you got to downscale, all right? But you throw pixels away. But interpolating new pixels into your image will damage quality. So the point I'm making is that the second use case for this, for a high resolution, would be that you put yourself in a position where if anybody tries to scale your graphic to fit their print or fit their monitor or whatever, they're scaling it down, all right, as opposed to allowing somebody else to scale it up. That's not good. Okay, so that is a reason to give somebody a electronic image that has more pixels than they need, all right? So the second use case for high-resolution rendering and why it's important in our discussion here is because the more pixels you have, the higher the quality, but more importantly, the more pixels you have puts people in a position where they downscale as opposed to upscale, and downscaling is less disruptive to the quality. Now, there's a third use case that I think you'll find quite interesting as to why we would want a high resolution or a high pixel count in our graphics, okay? And since we're out of time here in this session, we're going to save that topic for the next session, session number 4, where I'm going to talk about another use case which I think you'll find quite interesting and can really open up some very creative opportunities, okay? I'll see you in the next session. We'll continue it there.